The air in Bora Bora was thick with the scent of TRA flowers and salt, a perfume for paradise, but I stood frozen in the opulent, open-air lobby of our overwater bungalow, the breeze doing nothing to cool the fire raging under my skin. The hotel manager, his face a mask of professional pity, had just handed me a thick, cream-colored envelope. "Your husband asked us to give you this after he left," he'd murmured. "Liam, my husband of less than a week." Inside, my trembling fingers found not a letter, not an apology, but a stack of glossy photographs. Liam and Chloe, his work friend, laughing on a beach. Liam and Chloe kissing under the Eiffel Tower. Liam and Chloe time-stamped dated. A 5-year history of his other life. The last photo is of them at our wedding, her hand on his chest, their eyes locked in a secret promise. A wave of nausea and incandescent rage washed over me. He had left me in paradise with the ruins of our marriage. What he didn't know was that he'd also left me with our entire $30,000 honeymoon fund, and I was about to make him regret every single photo. It had all started with the guest list. A single name, written in Liam's neat architectural script, Chloe Vance. "Who's Chloe?" I gasped, tracing the unfamiliar name with my fingertip. We were in our apartment, surrounded by swatches of ivory and champagne, the scent of vanilla cake sample still lingering in the air. Wedding planning was supposed to be our happy bubble. "Just a friend from work," he said, not looking up from his laptop. "She's a great project manager. We're a team." A team. The word felt oddly possessive. "I don't think I've ever met her." "You have, once or twice. At the company holiday party last year, remember?" He finally looked at me, his blue eyes earnest. "She's a bit of an introvert. You'd like her. It would be weird not to invite her, honestly. We work on everything together." I let it go. It was one name out of 150. But a few weeks later, I was dropping off a lunch for Liam at his office and saw them together. They were standing by the coffee machine, heads bent close together over a single mug. Chloe was laughing, a throaty, intimate sound, and she playfully swatted his arm. Liam's smile was one I knew well, the soft, unguarded one he usually reserved for me. When he saw me, the smile tightened. He introduced us, and Chloe's eyes, a cool, assessing gray, swept over me. She was beautiful in a sharp, corporate way, with a severe black bob and a confidence that bordered on arrogance. "So you're the famous Alara," she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Liam talks about you all the time." The emphasis felt like a tiny poison dart. The unease grew. I started noticing her name more, a text lighting up his phone late at night. "That client is a nightmare. Need to vent. A weekend call, sorry. Babe, just a quick work emergency with Chloe." Every time I questioned it, Liam would deploy his signature weapon. Patient, logical exasperation. "Elara, honey, it's my job. Do you want me to be successful? Chloe is a huge part of my team. You're being insecure, and it's not a good look." He framed my concerns as a lack of trust, a flaw in my character. He was so convincing that I'd end up apologizing, feeling foolish and clumsy. His mother, Eleanor, didn't help. She was a woman who believed her son was a deity gracing the mortal world. At a family dinner, she brought Chloe up out of the blue. "Liam tells me his colleague Chloe is just a miracle worker," she announced to the table. "He says the two of them are going to land that big Henderson accountant, get massive promotions. She sounds like such a driven, impressive young woman." She gave me a pointed look as if to say, "Unlike you with your little art gallery job." The day we went to pick out his wedding band, his phone buzzed. It was Chloe. He answered it, stepping away. "Just a quick question," he mouthed to me. 20 minutes later, I had paid for my own ring and was sitting alone while he was still on the phone, pacing outside the jewelry store, laughing and sketching something on a napkin. When he came back in, he was all apologies, but the moment was gone, tarnished. The wedding rehearsal was the breaking point I should have heeded. Chloe was there not as a guest but as Liam's self-appointed assistant. "I'm just here to make sure everything runs smoothly for Liam," she chirped to my maid of honor, holding a clipboard. She'd rearranged the seating chart for better flow, placing herself at the head table next to Liam's best man. I pulled Liam aside, my voice a furious whisper. "What is she doing? She's not in the wedding party." "Liam, why is she at the head table?" He sighed, that familiar look of disappointment washing over his face. "Eleanor, she's just helping. My mom thought it was a good idea, she's so organized." "You're overreacting. Please, don't make a scene tonight. It's supposed to be a happy time." He made me feel like a Bridezilla, a shrew. I looked over at my own family laughing and talking, oblivious. And I looked at Liam's mother, who was deep in conversation with Chloe, both of them beaming. I felt a profound sense of isolation, as if I were a guest at my own wedding. The wedding day itself was a blur of forced smiles. I felt like I was playing a part. During the reception, while I was making the rounds, thanking my great-aunt for coming, I saw them. Liam and Chloe tucked away in an alcove near the bar. He was leaning against the wall, and she was standing close, inside his personal space. He whispered something in her ear, and she threw her head back and laughed. It wasn't the polite laugh of a colleague, it was the free, uninhibited laugh of a lover. He wasn't wearing his wedding ring. He'd taken it off, he'd later claim, to wash his hands and forgotten to put it back on. My maid of honor, Sarah, sighed too. What the hell is his deal? She said, grabbing my arm. I'm going to go over there. No, I said, my voice hollow. Don't. It's my wedding day. I won't let her ruin it. But it was already ruined. The rest of the night, I watched them. They didn't dance together, they were too smart for that. But they were a magnetic field of two, constantly orbiting each other, sharing glances, whispering. When it was time for the garter toss, Liam made a big show of it, but as he was sliding it off my leg, his eyes found Chloe in the crowd, and he shot her a tiny, almost imperceptible wink. I spent my wedding night crying silently in the bathroom of our suite, the sound of the shower masking my sobs. Liam, drunk and happy, had passed out on the bed. I told myself I was crazy, that I was letting my insecurities get the best of me. I had a handsome, successful husband who said he loved me. I had to believe him. I had to make this marriage work. So I washed my face, put on the silk negligee I'd bought for our honeymoon, and crawled into bed, pretending to be the happiest woman in the world. The first 2 days in Bora Bora were a masterclass in deception. Liam was the perfect husband, attentive and romantic. He'd booked the most expensive bungalow at the end of the dock, promising unparalleled privacy. We had breakfast delivered by canoe. We snorkeled in the crystalline water with rainbow-colored fish. We drank champagne as the sun bled into the horizon. He was so good at it, so convincing, that I started to believe my own performance. The doubts, a sick feeling from the wedding, began to recede. Maybe I was wrong, I thought. Maybe he's just clueless about boundaries. I let myself hope. I let myself fall back in love just a little. On the third morning, his phone rang. The screen flashed with a name I didn't recognize, but I knew. I knew by the way his body tensed beside me in the enormous canopy bed. He glanced at the screen and his face went pale. I have to take this, he said, his voice tight. It's the office. He walked out onto the deck, closing the glass doors behind him. I watched his silhouette against the blindingly blue sky. His posture was rigid, his shoulders hunched. The call lasted for nearly an hour. When he came back inside, his face was a carefully constructed mask of regret and stress. Babe, he started, sitting on the edge of the bed and taking my hands. His were cold. I am so sorry. There's a massive emergency with the Henderson account. A complete meltdown. They're threatening to pull the plug on the whole project. What kind of emergency? I asked, my heart starting to beat a slow, heavy drum. It's complicated. A server breach, data corruption, it's all hands on deck. The partners are calling me personally. I have to go back. The words hung in the air-conditioned silence. Go back? Liam, we just got here. It's our honeymoon. Can't someone else handle it? What about Chloe? I said her name deliberately, watching his face. Not a flicker. He was a professional. That's the problem. Chloe's the only other person who has the clearances, and she's visiting her sick mother in Oregon. She's unreachable. It has to be me. They're booking my flight right now. He looked genuinely devastated, his eyes welling up. He was an incredible actor. I promise, I will make this up to you. I'll fix this in a few days and fly right back. You stay here. Use the credit card. Buy yourself something beautiful. Please, Ilara, don't be angry. This is my career on the line. What could I do? I played the part of the supportive, understanding wife. I helped him pack. I kissed him goodbye at the dock where the water taxi waited to take him to the airport. I waved until he was a tiny speck. A knot of dread tightening in my stomach. I love you, he shouted over the motor's roar. I didn't say it back. I walked back to our bungalow, the silence suddenly deafening. The place felt vast and empty. I sat on the edge of the deck, dangling my feet in the warm water, trying to fight the tidal wave of suspicion. He's a good man, I chanted to myself. He loves you. This is just bad luck. An hour later, there was a soft knock on the door. It was the hotel manager, a kind-faced Polynesian man named Taiva. He was holding a cream-colored envelope. Mrs. Davies? My apologies for the intrusion. Your husband asked us to give you this after he left. My blood ran cold. A letter, An explanation. I thanked him, my hand shaking as I took the envelope. It was heavy. I sat on the white linen sofa and tore it open. It wasn't a letter. It was a stack of photographs, dozens of them. The first one was of Liam and Chloe, their arms around each other in a ski lift, snow-dusted and grinning. The date stamp in the corner read December 2019, 2 years before I even met Liam. My breath hitched. I flipped to the next one. Liam and Chloe in Paris, kissing, the Eiffel Tower twinkling behind them. Spring 2020. The next, on a boat, somewhere tropical, his hand on her bikini-clad thigh. Summer 2021. Another, at a vineyard in Napa, sharing a bottle of wine, their foreheads touching. The same weekend he'd told me he was at a tech conference in Austin. Photo after photo, a meticulously documented timeline of their 5-year relationship. They weren't just colleagues. They weren't just having a fling. This was a life. A whole secret life he had lived alongside his life with me. There were photos with his parents, Eleanor beaming as she stood between them. They had spent holidays together. They had taken the vacations he and I had always talked about taking. The final photo was from our wedding. It must have been taken on a second phone. It was a selfie of the two of them tucked into that alcove. His expression was smug, triumphant. Her smile was pure venom. Underneath it, in Liam's handwriting, was a single, brutal sentence: "Now you know who he really comes home to." He wanted you to have these. Enjoy your honeymoon. He didn't have a work emergency. Chloe wasn't in Oregon. They had planned this. This was their grand reveal. A cruel, theatrical gesture designed to shatter me. They wanted to imagine me alone in paradise. Broken. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. A strange, terrifying calm washed over me. The heartbreak was a physical thing, a crushing weight in my chest, but beneath it, something else was stirring. A cold, hard fury. I looked around the ridiculously expensive bungalow, at the private infinity pool, the champagne chilling in a silver bucket. I thought about our joint savings account, the one holding the $30,000 we had painstakingly saved for this trip. Money from both of us, intended for our future. He thought he had left me with nothing but pain. He was wrong. He had left me with a war chest. My phone buzzed. A text from Liam. Landed safely. The office is a madhouse. I miss you so much it hurts. I love you. I looked at the picture of him kissing Chloe in Paris. I looked at his text. The calm solidified into a diamond-hard resolve. He didn't want a wife. He wanted an audience for his sick games. And Chloe didn't just want my husband, she wanted my life, my happiness, my humiliation. They wanted me to fall apart. Instead, I was going to build an empire on the ashes of their betrayal. And I was going to use their money to do it. I opened the banking app on my phone. The balance was their $30,112.42. A smile, the first genuine one in days, spread across my face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a promise. The game was on. My first call was to the front desk. Tava, it's Elara Davies in Bungalow 212. I have a rather significant change of plans. I'd like to upgrade. What's the best suite you have available? Price is no object. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Madame, you were already in our presidential bungalow. Is there something better? I asked, my voice dangerously sweet. Something more royal? He hesitated. There is the royal estate. It is a private compound. 3 separate villas, a private beach, a personal chef, a dedicated butler, and its own spa. It is typically reserved for royalty and celebrities. The price is substantial. I'll take it for the next 2 weeks, I said, looking at the balance in the banking app. Please have my things moved immediately. The first charge hit the joint account for $15,000. I imagined Liam's phone pinging with the alert. Good. The royal estate was obscene. It was larger than my first 3 apartments combined. My personal butler, a wonderful man named Manu, showed me around. As he uncorked a bottle of vintage Dom Perignon complimentary, of course, I took out my phone. I snapped a picture of the bottle, my newly unringed hand holding the flute, the sprawling private beach in the background. The caption, "Sometimes the universe sends you a sign." Decided to embrace my solo journey and truly find myself. Eat Prail of Solo Honeymoon bore a bare bliss. I posted it on every social media platform I had, making sure it was public. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up. Confused texts from friends, worried calls from my parents. And then the call I was waiting for. Liam. I let it ring, sipping my champagne. He called again. And again. On the 4th try, I answered, putting it on speaker. Alera, what the hell is going on? I just got a bank alert for $15,000. And what is this crap on Instagram? Are you insane? His voice was a frantic, furious squawk. I took a slow, deliberate sip. Insane? No, darling. I'm finally seeing clearly. The view from the royal estate is simply divine. You should see it. The royal estate? Did you spend $15,000 on a hotel room? It's a compound. Actually, I corrected him. And it's not a hotel room, it's an investment. In my well-being. You were so worried about me being here all alone. I decided to take your advice and buy myself something beautiful. That's our money. Ilara, our future. I'm here, dealing with a crisis, and you're throwing your life savings away on a party? Your crisis has a name, Liam. It's Chloe, isn't it? Say hello for me. The silence on his end was deafening. I could practically hear the gears in his head grinding, trying to formulate a new lie. I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered. Oh, you will, I said, and hung up. My next move was to turn my luxurious prison into a fortress. I spent $5,000 to retain the services of a bulldog of a divorce attorney in New York, a woman named Jessica Thorne who specialized in high-conflict cases and forensic accounting. I want you to find everything. I told her over a video call from my private lanai. Every dinner, every flight, every hotel room he paid for with our money or his company's money. Then, I spent another $5,000 hiring a private investigator she recommended. His name is Marco. He's a ghost, Jessica said. If Liam has a secret bank account on Mars, Marco will find it. Meanwhile, the counterattack began. A new Instagram account popped up, the real Mrs. Davies. It was Chloe. The profile picture was the selfie from our wedding. Her first post was a picture of her and Liam, clinking champagne glasses, a city skyline behind them. The caption, 5 years and counting. Some people are just placeholders, true love finally. She tagged me. Then came the calls from Liam's mother. Ilara, I don't know what kind of set you're pulling, but you are embarrassing my son and our entire family, she hissed over the phone. Liam is a good man and he is going through a stressful time at work. For you to behave like this, it's vindictive and childish. Chloe has been a wonderful friend to him, a pillar of support. They were trying to paint me as the unhinged, spendthrift wife, punishing her hard-working husband. They thought they could control the narrative. They underestimated me. I didn't engage. I blocked Eleanor. I ignored Chloe's page. Instead, I doubled down. I used another $2,000 from the fund to fly my 2 best friends, Sarah and Maya, first class to Bora Bora. Their arrival was the turning point. The sadness I'd been holding at bay finally broke, and I cried for a whole afternoon in their arms. Then, we got to work. The $30,000 fund was now the Freedom Fund. We documented everything. The private sunrise yoga sessions, the 3 of us getting massages in my personal spa, the 5-course meals prepared by our private chef, which we ate on the beach by Teak Eat Orchlight. Maya, who worked in marketing, was a genius. Our posts were never angry or sad. They were joyful, aspirational, and empowering. We used hashtags like Honeymoon Upgrade, Girls Trip, and Freedom Fund. We told a story of a woman scorned who, instead of crumbling, chose to live her best life, supported by her incredible friends. My story started getting traction. A travel blogger with 1 million followers shared my post about the royal estate. A women's lifestyle website wrote a short article, wife ditched on honeymoon, has the last laugh. My follower count exploded. Marco, the pie, delivered his first report. It was better than I could have imagined. Liam hadn't just used company money for his trysts with Chloe, he had created entire phantom projects, billing clients for work that never happened, and funneling the money into a separate account. He had expensed their Persian vacation as a European market research trip. Chloe was listed as a freelance consultant on the expense reports. It wasn't just infidelity, it was wire fraud and embezzlement. It was a federal crime. I sat on the information, a trump card of epic proportions. Liam's texts had become a deluge of threats, then pleading, then more threats. You're destroying our lives. You have to stop this. Ilara, please, let's just talk. I sent him a single photo in response. It was of me, Sarah, and Maya, laughing on a jet ski, the turquoise water spraying around us. We looked radiant. We looked free. The final piece of the plan fell into place when Jessica, my lawyer, called. We have him. Ilara, the company is launching an internal audit next week. Someone sent the board an anonymous tip about irregularities in the Henderson account. They're going to find everything. I knew it was time to reel him in. He was panicking. His lies were catching up to him. He was about to lose his job, and he knew it. It was time for him to come crawling back. I looked at the remaining balance in the Freedom Fund, a little over $3,000, just enough for a final, spectacular flourish. The call came at dawn. I was on my private beach, watching the sky turn from bruised purple to soft rose, a cup of Kona coffee in my hand. It was Liam. His voice was completely different. The anger was gone, replaced by a raw, desperate panic I had never heard before. "Lara, please, just please talk to me." I let the silence stretch, listening to the gentle lapping of the waves. "I'm listening," I said finally, my voice calm and even. "I'm a mess. I've been a fool. An idiot. Everything, it's all falling apart." He stammered, his breath catching. "The company, they're investigating my accounts. I could lose my job, I could lose everything." "That does sound stressful," I said, taking a sip of coffee. I felt nothing. No pity, no sympathy. Just the cold, clean satisfaction of a plan coming together. "I know what you must think," he rushed on, his words tumbling over each other. "Those photos, Chloe, it's not what it looks like. She was blackmailing me, Lara, for years. It started as a mistake a long time ago and she never let me go. She threatened to ruin my career, to tell you. I was trapped. I was trying to protect you." The lie was so audacious, so insulting to my intelligence that I almost laughed. Blackmailing him, with photos of them on vacations he paid for with stolen money? It was pathetic. He was throwing Chloe under the bus to save himself. "She sent you those photos from my phone," he continued, his voice cracking with feigned emotion. "She's obsessed. She's crazy. I never loved her. It was always you. You have to believe me. I was going to tell you everything after the honeymoon, I swear." "So the work emergency was a lie," I stated, not as a question. "Yes. I had to get back to deal with her, to end it for good. I was coming back, Lara. I was going to fly back in a day or two and beg for your forgiveness. I thought about the $30,000. I thought about the 5 years of my life I had almost signed away to this hollow man. I thought about the humiliation he had intended for me. "I'm getting on a plane," he said, his voice dropping to a desperate whisper. "I am flying to Bora Bora right now. I have to see you. I have to fix this. Please, just let me come and explain everything in person. Don't talk to a lawyer, don't do anything until I get there. I love you. I have never stopped loving you." This was the moment, the pivot. He thought he could win me back with his lies, charm his way out of the inferno he had created. He saw me as his safety net, the soft place to land now that his other life was imploding. "All right, Liam," I said, my voice softening, injecting a note of weary forgiveness. "Okay, you can come." The relief in his exhale was a tangible thing, a gust of wind across the thousands of miles between us. "Oh, God, Lara, thank you. I won't let you down. I'll be there in 24 hours, we can fix this. We'll talk when you get here," I said. "Just no more lies, Liam. I'm so tired of the lies." "No more lies," he promised fervently, "ever." I hung up the phone and smiled. My friends were wary. "You're not actually taking him back, are you?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with alarm as we ate breakfast on the patio. "Of course not," I said, spreading guava jam on a croissant. "I'm just setting the stage for the grand finale." I spent the day preparing. I used the last of the Freedom Fund to book a one-way, first-class ticket back to New York for myself. Leaving the following evening, I packed my bags, a collection of beautiful new clothes and souvenirs bought with his money. I settled the bill for the royal estate, which included a lavish tip for Manu and the rest of the staff who had treated me like a queen. When Liam's seaplane landed at the resort's dock, I was waiting for him. I had chosen my outfit carefully, a simple, elegant white sundress. I looked like a wife, not a warrior. He ran to me, his face haggard with travel and stress. He tried to pull me into his arms, but I put a hand on his chest, stopping him. "Let's just talk first," I said gently. He looked crestfallen but nodded. Like a chastened dog. "Of course, anything." I led him back to the royal estate. His eyes widened as he took in the sheer opulence of the place. He saw the empty champagne bottles, the multiple sets of footprints in the privates, and, "Yojo, had people here?" he asked, a flicker of his old possessiveness in his eyes. "Just a couple of friends," I said airily. "They helped me get my perspective back." We sat on the lanai, the sun beginning to set. He launched into his performance, a monologue of regret and self-flagellation. He painted a picture of himself as a victim, a man ensnared by a predatory colleague. He cried real tears. It was a masterful performance. I listened patiently, nodding in all the right places, letting him believe it was working. "All I want is a chance to earn back your trust," he finished, reaching for my hand across the table. "We can go to counseling. We can start over. We can put all of this behind us. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I let him hold my hand. His skin was clammy. You're right, I said softly. This place, it's not the right environment for this kind of conversation. There are too many memories. Hope flared in his eyes. Exactly. Let's go home. We can leave tomorrow. We can go back to our apartment and figure this out together. I agree, I said, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. We should go home. Let's sort this out back in New York. He visibly relaxed, a wide smile spreading across his tired face. He thought he had one. He thought he was coming home to his forgiving wife, ready to sweep his mess under the rug. He had no idea he was flying home to his execution. The satisfaction was so potent, so pure it tasted sweeter than any champagne. He was walking willingly into the trap I had so carefully and so expensively laid for him. The flight back to New York was the longest 20 hours of Liam's life. For me, it was a victory lap. He tried to hold my hand during takeoff, whispering about our future, about the house in the suburbs he now promised we could buy. I gave him non-committal smiles, allowing him to bask in his false hope. He thought my silence was contemplative, a sign that I was processing and healing. In reality, I was composing the closing statement of our marriage in my head. He wanted to go straight to our apartment from the airport. Let's just go home, order some food, and talk, he pleaded, looking like a lost little boy. Actually, I said, pulling my carry-on from the overhead bin, I have one stop we need to make first. It's important. A loose end we need to tie up before we can move forward. He looked suspicious, but he was in no position to argue. Okay, he said, nodding eagerly. Whatever you need, Alara. I'm with you. I gave the taxi driver an address in Midtown. Liam's brow furrowed as we pulled up in front of a sleek, glass and steel skyscraper. This is an office building, he said, confused. That's right, I said, my voice braved. Come on. I lead him through the marble lobby and into an elevator, pressing the button for the 45th floor. The doors opened onto a quiet, impossibly chic reception area. A brushed aluminum sign on the wall read, Thorne Associates. Liam froze. Thorne as in Jessica Thorne? The divorce attorney? He whispered, his face turning ashen. The very one, I said, smiling at the receptionist. We have an appointment. He was speechless, his mouth opening and closing like a fish as I led him down a hallway and into a large conference room with a panoramic view of the city. Sitting at the long mahogany table were 3 people: Jessica Thorne, my sharp-eyed lawyer Marco, the pie who looked more like a retired librarian than a ghost, and a stern-looking man in a suit whom Jessica introduced as a forensic accountant. What is this, Ilara? Liam finally managed to choke out, his eyes darting between the faces at the table. What have you done? Sit down. Liam, Jessica said, her voice cutting through the tension. She gestured to the empty chair across from her. It looked like an electric chair. He sank into it, his body rigid. I remained standing. I felt powerful in control for the first time in years. You wanted no more lies, Liam. I began. So let's have the truth. All of it. For the next hour, Jessica and Marco laid it all out. They presented bank statements, flight manifests, hotel receipts, and company expense reports. They detailed the 5 years of his affair with Chloe, cross-referencing their vacations with his fraudulent business trips. The forensic accountant explained, in excruciating detail, how Liam had embezzled over $200,000 from his company to fund his double life. Liam's face went from white to green. He stared at the mountain of evidence, the architecture of his lies collapsing around him. The narrative of him being a victim of a blackmailing she-devil evaporated under the harsh fluorescent lights of the conference room. The company's internal audit began yesterday, Jessica said, her tone clinical. They have found most of this already. They are preparing to terminate your employment and press charges. Liam looked at me, his eyes wide with pure terror. Alara, you can't let them. We can fix this. I can pay it back. Pay it back with what, Liam? I asked calmly. With our money? The money you were so concerned about when I was wasting it in Bor Ebra? I slid a final document across the table. It was a divorce settlement. It gave me everything: the apartment, the car, the entirety of our savings and investment accounts, and a significant portion of his future earnings as alimony, calculated based on the lifestyle he had fraudulently maintained. This is insane. You're robbing me, he shrieked, jumping to his feet. No, I said, my voice dropping to an icy calm. I'm collecting damages. You spent 5 years spending our marital assets on your girlfriend. You spent our honeymoon fund to stage a grand, humiliating reveal of your affair. I think my terms are more than fair. Jessica cleared her throat. There is one other condition. You sign this today, Liam, and this file, she tapped the thick binder of evidence, remains with me. My client has no interest in seeing you in jail, she just wants to be free of you. However, if you contest this in any way, a copy of this file will be sent by messenger to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Your choice? He was trapped, utterly and completely. He could fight me and go to prison for fraud, or he could sign away his assets and walk away with his freedom, albeit broken, disgraced. He stared at me, his face a mask of disbelief and hatred. He saw finally that the meek, insecure woman he thought he had married was gone. In her place was the woman she had been forced to become. He snatched a pen from the table, his hand shaking with rage, and scrawled his signature on the papers. He didn't say another word. He just stood up, a broken man, and walked out of the room. Months later, I was signing a lease, not for an apartment, but for a small, sunlit retail space in Soho. The last of the $30,000 Freedom Fund went toward the security deposit from my very own art gallery, a dream I had deferred while supporting Liam's career. Sarah and Maya were there, and we celebrated with a bottle of champagne, a much happier one this time. I heard through the grapevine that Liam was fired, of course. His parents had to mortgage their house to pay back a portion of what he stole to keep him out of jail. Chloe, seeing that the money and the glamorous life were gone, left him within a month. Last I heard, he was living in his parents' basement trying to find work as a freelance consultant. No one would hire him. I never saw him again. Sometimes I look at the photos from my solo honeymoon, the ones of me and my friends, laughing and free, and I think about the cream color envelope. He meant for it to destroy me. Instead, he gave me the greatest gift I could have ever received, the truth. A $30,000 head start on a new life, and the sweet, enduring satisfaction of knowing that he, and he alone, was the author of his own regret.